Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day number 578. 578. October the 15th, 2018, Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, let's get right to it. Let's cover Sunday morning with John Ratcliffe, who was of course a former federal prosecutor. He was on with Maria Bartiromo. And he was talking about, what's going on with these people who are being brought in to testify, Rodenstein and, of course, Glenn Simpson and Nellie and all these people. Many of these people are going to be coming in to testify in this week and next week. So it looks like this week we have got Nellie will be coming in to testify behind closed doors. James Baker will be back because they learned so much from him the first time around. They won a second round. And Piers Papadopoulos will either be coming in this week or next week. That also is going to be closed-door testimony. Who else? There's another person that's supposed to be coming in this week as well. So we got Nellie, and we got Baker, and Papadopoulos in the next week or two. One other person I can't think of. But anyway, we got several important people coming up that will be interviewed this week. Now, they've already stated that they've been told by Simpson's lawyer, Mr. Levy, that Simpson's going to plead the fifth. And of course, when Ratcliffe was talking to Maria Bartiromo about the fact that they'd already informed him that Simpson was going to plead the fifth, because Ratcliffe wanted to ask him a couple direct questions, because Ratcliffe said it was his question that he asked to Glenn Simpson, where Glenn Simpson lied to him. Specifically, Ratcliffe had asked Simpson about when he had been in contact with Glenn Simpson of Confusion GPS, and Simpson told him that he only had interaction with Bruce Orr after the election. But Ratcliffe has gotten other witnesses that they've interviewed, including Mr. Baker, who've admitted that Bruce Orr had met with Simpson prior to the election multiple times. Not just once, but multiple times. And of course we know that because we have all the texts. We have the they've seen the Bruce Orr, we haven't seen them, but Ratcliffe has seen them. So all this stuff that we're talking about, Ratcliffe has seen it all. He knows what's there. And he knows that there's overwhelming evidence, and as Simpson comes in and answers questions, he will essentially be incriminating himself. He will have proved that he was lying before. So he cannot come in and testify because that's what the Fifth Amendment's used for, so that you don't incriminate yourself. So to keep from incriminating himself, Simpson is going to plead the fifth, and they've already been aware of that, but they're going to make him come and do it anyway. They're not just going to let him call it in. So he will be getting a subpoena. They expect he'll come in this week and plead the fifth. Nellie Orr, we don't know. Bruce Orr did not plead the fifth. Of course, he still works for the DOJ, so pretty hard for him to do that. Nellie Orr, of course, does not work for the DOJ, so she just might plead the fifth as well. It's really hard to say how she's going to do this, but we'll find out later in the week, because I think she's coming in on Thursday. Her testimony should be very, very interesting, because we had thought for the longest time that Nellie Orr was brought in after Confusion GPS was brought in, and that Nellie was brought in shortly afterwards. That would have been back in the late April, early May of 2016. But now we know from recent information that's come out in the past couple of months that Nellie Orr was likely working for Confusion GPS as early as late in the fall of 2015, at the same time that all those requests, all those queries, or 702 queries, were being done through the FBI system and to third-party contractors, and one of them would have been Confusion GPS. So now there's certainly suspicions on whether Nellie Orr was one of those people doing those 702 queries. The fact that her husband is the number 4 man in the DOJ, certainly she would have known about how to access the system, and maybe that's why they brought her over to Fusion GPS, to have someone who could access the system outside the system. And it would have been perfect because her husband would have known exactly how to do that, what to look at, where to go to get the information they wanted. So there's a lot of things with Nellie that they probably want to talk to her about. So we'll see if she talks or pleads the fifth or not. James Baker obviously is going to talk because he gave him a lot of information the last time they talked to him. Now he's coming back. He probably wouldn't come back if he wasn't going to talk, or he would be giving some indication that he was going to plead the fifth, but he hasn't done that. It appears he's coming back and he's going to talk some more. And of course, he was the general counsel to both Comey and McCabe. He's on the FBI side. He would have been involved in everything, the FISA, the national security letters. He would have known about just about everything going on, the frame-up, everything. So he's a very key witness. He could turn out to be the key witness. He could turn out to be the guy that actually brings down the house of cards. We'll just have to see what more they learn from him, but we know that after they talked to him the first time, they said he's the best witness they've talked to since they've been conducting these interviews. And Ratcliffe, of course, was also pushing with Maria Bartiromo on wanting a special counsel. He's never backed off from that. And he essentially said that the DOJ and the FBI could not investigate itself. They were talking about Rodenstein at that point, and he was bringing up the fact that, Rodenstein is the one who wrote the letter that Trump used, essentially, to fire Comey. He's over the Mueller investigation at the same time that he, was involved in signing off on one of the FISA warrants, and there's questions about that. Of course, now we have the questions about whether he was involved in recording the president, wanting to record the president, possible 25th Amendment type coup plot going on, all these things, and these are all things that Ratcliffe wants to talk to him about, as well as other members, including Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and others. So this is the point that Ratcliffe is making, that he does not believe the DOJ and the FBI can investigate themselves. He also was talking to Maria Bartiromo about the fact that, remember, Ratcliffe has seen everything. And he said that he's seen the Bruce Orr stuff, he's seen the 20 pages in the FISA, he's seen the Gang of Eight stuff, he knows what's there. He said there's nothing there that is any issue with national security at all that would be compromised, or methods or sources or anything, by releasing those classified documents. That's what Ratcliffe says. He also says that the reason that it's damaging to the DOJ is because, based on what he's seen, which is everything, he says that the big crime committed with the FISA court was that there was much exculpatory evidence, and it can all be seen there in the 20 pages, as well as what's in the Bruce Orr notes, as well as what's in the Gang of Eight stuff. All this, he said, there's tons of exculpatory evidence which was never presented to the FISA court, which they are obligated to do, and they did not do that. They misrepresented the evidence to the FISA court. They only provided information in the FISA application that could make the government's case. This is what Ratcliffe said this morning on Sunday morning on Maria Bartiromo. So, not that there's any real new information here, but of course it's nice to know who's coming to testify, because they're doing all this stuff behind closed doors. So it is nice that they're getting Baker and Nellie back. Of course, Simpson's not going to talk. Papadopoulos coming up, and I think Papadopoulos is going to be an explosive testimony. I wish it were public, but eventually it's all going to come out anyway. We're going to get all these transcripts, but we'll get back more to that in just a minute. But there's another really important story that popped up yesterday that a lot of you have probably seen, and I saw it in the Daily Caller, and it's a story about how the Secret Service foiled an assassination attempt on Trump, which has been attributed to ISIS, and this occurred in the Philippines back last November of 2017 when Trump was attending the ASEAN summit. So this was an assassination attempt which they're blaming on Al-Qaeda or ISIS. But who runs Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Mr. Potato Head? I believe it's Western intelligence agencies who primarily cultivate, arm, promote, motivate, radicalize, and assist ISIS and Al-Qaeda. We caught them. We've caught them. Particularly when the Obama administration was in charge. that little gun-running operation in Benghazi was to funnel weapons up into Syria to help these people. We had Senator Magoo over there posing with the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood with connections to Al-Qaeda and ISIS, standing right next to him in a photograph, right with them, all smiles. We know that they tried to allow a Muslim Brotherhood coup of Egypt. And we know that that was a gun-running operation going on in Benghazi. We know that for all those years, under the Bush administration and the Obama administration, 15 years, Al-Qaeda and ISIS were spreading like wildfire and having lots of success. All of a sudden, Trump comes along, and in 1 year, you hardly ever hear about these people anymore. They're getting their ass kicked. It's because during Obama and Bush, the intelligence community, the globalists, the New World Order crowd, were literally arming, promoting, training, radicalizing, motivating, and assisting Al-Qaeda to destroy these countries in the Middle East, because they feel like if they want to change these countries, but to do so they have to destroy them, and they destroy them from within. They destroy them from within and use Al-Qaeda and ISIS as their armies, because you'll never get the American people or the British people or the French people to support going in there and doing what it would take to level these countries with that type of military action. It would also cost a fortune. It's better just to turn loose a bunch of radicals and let them destroy it from within. So now that we're not funding and training and arming and assisting the terrorists, they're losing bad and very quickly. So, when you talk about the fact that the assassination attempt is being attributed to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, who do they work for? So who's really behind this assassination attempt? Something to think about, is it not? The Rotten Reverend, she says that Bill didn't need to resign over the Lewinsky affair because Lewinsky was an adult. She was talking to CBS. She also said it was not an abuse of power. Really? That would be like the textbook example of abuse of power, right? The most powerful man in the world using his position to, I don't know what the word is, but have some fun with an intern who was 1/3 his age. 1/3 his age. Yes, she may have been an adult, but it was inside the Oval Office. And it wasn't just a little kissing and smooching. It was some really perverted stuff that was going on there in the Oval Office. And that's just the time he got caught. We don't know how many other episodes there were that he didn't get caught. And how many other women there were in those episodes. But what was going on there with Monica Lewinsky was certainly an abuse of power. Absolutely, the textbook definition of, and saying that and I'm not even saying that he should have been had to resign over it. I wish he would have been thrown out of office at the very next opportunity when he's reelected. But he certainly should have been censored for it and should have gotten into all sorts of trouble. But the thing that I think he should have been thrown out of office for was lying about it. When he got caught, he came out and lied about it. That was the problem, Hillary. And then she goes on to further to tell CBS that she played no role whatsoever in the character assassinations of the accusers of her accused rapist husband. When everyone knows that's complete bullshit. I mean, there's overwhelming evidence. Overwhelming evidence. The individuals who were hired by the Rotten Reverend Clinton had come out and gone public 25 years ago. That she was the one who was running the bimbo eruptions for Slick Willie. She was the one that sicked the Union thugs on Bill Clinton's accusers. She's the one that was directing the propaganda campaign. Again, it's just she's a pathological liar. And this interviewer at CBS knows it. He was around then. He's about my age. That's why he asked the question. He said, it wasn't just the fact that, what happened with your husband in the Oval Office there with Lewinsky, but also the accusations that you were part of the character assassinations of the accusers. In which case, she just blatantly lied. Just looked at him direct in his eyes and, oh no, no, I didn't have anything to do with any of that. Completely lying. He knows she's lying. I know she's lying. You know she's lying. Everybody knows she's lying. This has been well documented in many books, personal first-hand testimony from the witnesses. The people actually performed these stunts. The Right Reverend Clinton actually came up to Kathleen Willey personally in her face, got into her face and threatened her. And there's witnesses who were standing there. The Rotten Reverend. My oh my. So as I was mentioning before, Papadopoulos is really pissed. And he's starting to realize, I think he actually realized this quite some time ago, but I guess he's feeling more free to talk. If you look at the tweets he's been sending out lately, and you look at what he's now saying, and he was just on ABC, and Papadopoulos is basically letting it all hang out. He's basically saying now that he is convinced that Downer, Mifsud, and Halper were all British agents. And he's convinced of that, and he said there was also 2 other active British intelligence officials that approached him during that same time when he was in London. And he says he still does not recall saying anything to Down the Hatch Downer about anything having to do with Clinton emails or hacking or anything else. So if he's telling the truth, then that means Downer is lying. And that tip that he gave, that Papadopoulos said something about the Russians having hacked Hillary's emails, is a lie. I wonder if they'll be trying to talk to Mr. Downer. And it's very likely. Exactly what he's saying is true. It's probably 98% sure of it. Those 3 worked together to set up Papadopoulos. They were working together. Papadopoulos was supposed to say that to Halper at dinner, but he froze up. He clammed up and got nervous and didn't say it. So they had to arrange for Halper to come, for a Downer, Down the Hatch Downer, to come in. And they probably said, look, try to get him to talk about it. In fact, and if you won't talk about it, or you don't even have to talk about it, just say he said it. Just say he said it. We have enough other information we can throw in there that it'll be your word against his. Just make it up, Alex. Just make it up and then go tell the U.S. Embassy in London. And they'll pass it on. They know what to do. They'll pass it on. It'll get to the FBI. It'll just be another piece of evidence that we can use to spy on the Trump campaign and work the narrative for the coup. And I think that this is exactly what Papadopoulos is going to say. He's saying it publicly. He's saying it to ABC News. He's saying it on Twitter. Hey, these guys, I'm sure, were British agents, and they set me up. And I don't remember saying anything to Downer about hacked emails. It could be a very explosive testimony. There's probably some other things that they'd like to ask him as well. Well, it is Monday, and on Monday we typically do the Dumbass of the Week, and we have a candidate this week that's a first-timer. Some of you have never heard of this person before, but it is the Georgia Democrat who's running in the governor's race, Stacey Abrams. She's giving a little speech where she comes out and says that, and she's talking about the blue wave, and how the blue wave is all these people. It's the white people, it's the black people, it's the Latino people, it's the men. It's a blue wave of all people who are going to sign up to be Democrats because they're so unhappy with Trump and all the good things he's doing. There's going to be this blue wave, and it includes, she said, undocumented Latinos. What's undocumented mean? Illegal. This is why she's a dumbass. Because she still thinks, first of all, there's going to be a blue wave, and there's not. That makes her a dumbass right off the top. But she's also a dumbass because she is basically admitting and saying that illegals should be able to just come into the country, run across the border, get citizenship, take advantage of all the benefits and all the other things. And she thinks this is playing to her Latino base and to her African American base, who she believes they associate together. It just shows how horribly misguided these people are. The fact of the matter is, the overwhelming majority of people in this country who are from Latin American countries and Central American countries are here legally. Legally. They're not illegals. And they understand, just like any other legal U.S. citizen, that illegal immigration, having people come in and you don't know who they are and what they're doing here, is bad. It's really simple. These people from Latin America that come up here, they do a lot of the service work and things like that. They're not maybe really highly educated in the classical sense, but they're smart people. They've got common sense. They've got enough common sense to know that they've come here legally, they've started a little business, or are working or whatever, they've got a good little thing going, and they know as much as any other citizen, regardless of whether Latino, white, black, purple, pink, it doesn't matter, understands that when you have millions of people streaming across your border, sometimes they're gang members, they could be drug dealers, they could be violent people, they could be crazy people, they could be people just coming here to kick off the system, they could be terrorists, they could be anything. You can't just have people rushing across the border, fucking up your immigration situation, the chemistry of your country, the culture of your country, the language of your country. There's a lot of problems, systemic problems with illegal immigration. And these Latinos and blacks and others who are legal citizens here come from North Africa, come from Central America, come from around the world. They understand this. Yet this Democrat thinks that she's actually making headway by using this issue and saying, hey, illegals are a part of this blue wave as well. And again, there's no blue wave coming. And even if there were, the idea that the overwhelming majority of Latinos and blacks are going to support you because you support illegal immigration is tells me you're not in touch with reality. Not in touch with reality. This immigration issue is hurting the Democrats. There's polls out there that show 60, 70% of the people want some sort of border security. Yet the Dems continue to run on illegal immigration and sanctuary cities and all the rest. It just shows that these are really not very smart people. They're not very smart people. I mean, this may get them, a lot of attention. It may energize that portion of their base, but it's only 15%, 20% total of their base. And it's not going to play in the places where they need to win. In the Rust Belt, in the Farm Belt, in the Sun Belt. It's not playing in those places. So, dumbass of the week, Georgia Democrat Stacey Abrams. Still doesn't get it. Still doesn't get it. And thank God, because hopefully she won't win that race and we'll get a Republican governor of Georgia. Brandon Stroika, who of course is the guy who started the Walk Away movement, was on a podcast about 2 or 3 days ago that I saw, and he says that since the Kavanaugh hearings, that his number of subscribers to Walk Away has almost doubled. Almost doubled. And he says a lot of people are saying, yeah, that the Kavanaugh thing was the final straw. Been Democrats all their life. He said he had one lady, 90-something years old, said that she'd been a Democrat all her life, was a Democrat activist, active in the party for many, many years, decades, and that she has now had enough. She can't take it anymore. She'll be voting for Republicans, Trump in 2020, and she's left the Democratic Party after nearly 90 years of her life. And he said there's multiple stories like that and many more. Even Keith Ellison is now, his race is now tightening up. He's running for Attorney General. That's a joke, right? He's running for Attorney General, and that race is now tightening up. His opponent is now picking up ground on him. And the funniest thing I saw over the weekend was this poll that came out showing the potential 2020 Democrat candidates. And believe it or not, Uncle Joe bite me, Joe Biden is leading the field of 2020 with 33% support. Next will be Bernie Sanders, 13%. 13%. Then Kamala Harris, who has no chance. She's got a lot of problems. She's at 9%. Pocahontas at 8%. Spartacus would be at 5%. and John F. and Kerry, who, by the way, served in Vietnam, sitting at 5%. And then there's about 10 more people below that, all in that 4% or less range. And would you believe that out of the 20 or so shown, they don't even show the rotten Reverend Clinton? She's not even in the poll. That shows you how bad they want to keep her away. They don't even want to put her in the poll. They don't want to give her any ideas. But I can assure you, in Hillary's sick mind full of pathology and entropy at this point, the rotten Reverend Clinton, in her mind, she's running. I absolutely guarantee you. In her mind. Not that it's going to happen, because she'll probably just be shut down. At some point, there's someone in the very near future, after the midterms, when she starts to make her move, someone's going to have the stones to walk up to Hillary and go, Hillary, I speak on behalf of the whole party. We've had a long conversation. We've been in touch with our feelings. And we've all decided that we just want you to go away. And stay away. Go away. Please. Please. No one likes you, Reverend. No one wants you. Just go home. Get back to that bottle of scotch. Take up, needlepoint. Do something. Just stay out of politics. You destroyed this party. And you're probably going to be in jail anyway. Now, let's get back to these House races. I would like to finish this up because I am going to get to the Senate races. There's only like 7 or 8 Senate races we'll be focusing on, as opposed to all these House seats. And then at the end of the week, this week, Friday or Saturday, sometime over the weekend, I'll be making my final prediction for the exact number of Senate seats and House seats I think that we will have when the smoke clears on November 7th, the morning after the election. I'll have that number for you by this weekend. Remember, in 2016, a month before the election, I came out and predicted Trump would win the election. And the week before, 1 week before the 2016 election, I unfortunately didn't do a video, but I said it in front of my mom and my granny. I have 2 witnesses where I told them Trump would win with 302 electoral votes. I was off by 2. So let's get back to the House races, shall we? So we left off at New Mexico District 2. In New Mexico District 2, we have Yoctel Torres Small, the Democrat, running against Yvette Harrell, Republican. This is right now leaning Republican. Trump did win this district by 10 points in 2016, but it's again in one of them areas. It's a very swingy type district, and it can go either way. So you will definitely need to get out if you live in New Mexico in District 2 and vote for Yvette Harrell, the Republican. We are up a little bit in that race right now, but too close to just stand on the sidelines and hope for the best. You got to get out and cast your vote in New Mexico. Then we have New York, District 19. Tony Delgado, the Democrat, running against John Fago, the Republican. This is currently in the toss-up category. Trump carried this district by 7 points in 2016. It's winnable. It is winnable. But you can bet that the Democrats will be pouring a lot of money, a lot of resources into this battle. This is another one of those seats that they're hoping to take. And so you have to get out and you have to vote. If you're in New York, District 19, vote for John Fago, I believe it is, Republican. In New York, District 19. We have New York District number 22. We have Tony Brindisi, the Democrat, running against Claudia Henney, Republican. This is also in the toss-up category. We should hold this seat. We should hold this seat. Trump won this district by 15. By 15. I can assume that this is somewhere up in the northwest of New York, would be my guess. We know it's not in the city. So, yes, Trump did very well there. We should absolutely win this seat. Going away, New York District 22. We have New York District 27. Nate McMurray, the Democrat, against Chris Collins, Republican. It's currently leaning Republican. Trump won this district with 60% of the vote in 2016. But we have an issue with Mr. Collins. He's caught up in a bit of a scandal. I don't know if it's legit or if it's just more monkey business. But either way, you got to get out to the polls. We can't afford to lose any seats in the House. You have to get out in your District 27 and support Mr. Collins. Whatever happens, happens. If he ends up being indicted or something after he's elected, then his seat will be filled by a Republican. But for the purposes of the election, we need ours. We need ours. Good ones, bad ones, medium ones, hot ones, cold ones, it doesn't matter. Just as long as they got a pulse and are a Republican, they need to win. North Carolina District 2, we have Linda Coleman, the Democrat, against George Holding, the Republican. This is currently as a toss-up. Trump won this district by 10 points. And hey, is this your district, Maura? Is this your district, Maura? North Carolina, 0-2. Linda Coleman and George Holding, toss-up. Is that your district, Maura? Are you in District 2? If so, George Holding. We have North Carolina District 9, Dan McCready, the Democrat, against Mark Harris, the Republican. This is currently leaning toward the Democrats. This is North Carolina, my friends. Come on. Come on. You don't want any social justice warriors down there in North Carolina, do you? The home of Andy Griffith, Mayberry RFD, Gomer. Come on now. Can't let that happen. And by the way, McCready is running a fraudulent campaign, running as a moderate. Again, as we've seen in several of these races, we have Democrats running in fairly conservative areas. They're running as Republicans. Talking like Republicans, acting like Republicans, but as soon as they win that seat, they're going to go hard left and do what they're told by Madam Botox, Nancy Pelosi. So, if you're in North Carolina, District 9, we're taking it on the chin a little bit there. You need to get out and vote for Mark Harris, the Republican. North Carolina, District 13, Kathy Manning, the Democrat, against Ted Budd, the Republican. This is currently leaning Republican. Trump won this district by 9 points in 2016. So, you need to get out and vote. North Carolina, District 13. Need to hold this seat. The next race is a very hotly contested race in the district right over from me here in Ohio, District 1. We have Alfab Percival against Steve Shabbat. It is a toss-up right now. At this time, as we know from the commercials we're seeing here locally, Prevobal is caught up in a scandal. But it's a tough district. It's a tough district. It's a very evenly divided district. It goes either way. Shabbat's been holding on to that seat for a couple. I think this will be his second or third round. It was held by a Democrat for a couple years, and we lost it, and then it was back. So I think he's running for his third term here. So and he'd won it before and lost the seat. It went to a Democrat. Now he's back. So Steve Shabbat, not the greatest candidate, but he's okay. He's not a neocon or anything like that. He's pretty much a Trump supporter. But, you know. Anyway, we need to get out and vote for Steve Shabbat if you're in Ohio District 1. Then we have Ohio District 12. Danny O'Connor, who this has, of course, been a major race on the map. Trump went and specifically campaigned for Danny O'Connor in one of the rallies you saw a couple weeks ago. He was up on stage with Trump. Or not Danny O'Connor, Troy Balderson. Troy Balderson is the one who Trump's supporting, the Republican. Danny O'Connor is the Democrat we're trying to get rid of. So you want to vote in Ohio 12 for Troy Balderson. When Trump came and campaigned for him, he got a nice bump in the polls. I expect Trump may come back one more time and campaign for Balderson again. He was just here in Ohio, but different district. So it's currently leaning Republican. This is pretty much a rematch. The last time this race happened, Balderson won, but by only 1 point. It's too close to leave this one to chance. 1 point's just not a comfortable enough margin. If you live in Ohio 12, you have got to get out to vote for Troy Balderson. Okay, so we have to go through Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. Okay, so we're just about done. We should finish it up tomorrow night with the House races. And so anyway, I will be back tomorrow with more TowerGate, and we'll see what shoe drops next. You guys have a good night. Bye.